Good on you, Deputy Speaker. As I want to thank the member for Canning, the opposition defence spokesman, for this this motion. And as a member for Wills, my colleague said before, it's pretty important that we have this defence review, a strategic one, to look at our capability, our circumstances, our force posture, and what it is that we want the ADF and some of our other agencies to be able to do. And as the Prime Minister has said, and I quote, "It is incumbent on us to take stock of the billions," that's with a B, "of dollars in defence investment programs, many of which are over budget and delayed." And this is not a time for delay, Deputy Speaker. A shining example of the Coalition's track record can be seen in its botched handling of the Hunter-class frigate procurement process, which is now facing major delays and soaring cost issues thanks to undefined equipment capability. Those opposite have mismanaged every step of the replacement of the Collins-class submarine, pretty important strategic capability. And as a refresher, Deputy Speaker, the former Prime Minister and member for Wentworth signed a contract to buy 12 French Barracuda-class submarines, but the terms of the contract were poorly defined, to say the least. There's a bit of a trend here. The Australian taxpayer ended up forking out $3.5 billion with a B to France before the contract was clumsily terminated. Now, that's a lot of Black Hawks that the member for Herbert was just speaking about. And who could forget the damage done to Australia's relationship with France, an important strategic partner in the Pacific, which led the French President Emmanuel Macron stating boldly that the former Prime Minister and member for Cook had lied to him. It was a devastating blow for that relationship and cooperation in the Pacific, but honourable member needn't worry because we've got those relationships back on track. Now, the Deputy Prime Minister as well, on last week's visit to Europe, also contributed to getting things back on track with the French, but also established really good and important strategic relationships with the Germans and many others. Now, with the delivery of the Boxer-class reconnaissance vehicles, that's going to be delayed by another year, apparently, and that comes on the heels of a 7-month delay of the first Boxer delivery. Similar and serious delays have been forecast for the acquisition of the Arafura-class patrol boats, and those opposite want to claim that whilst in power they made the ADF more agile, capable and nimble. And unfortunately I didn't get here in time for his contribution, so I didn't get to hear the evidence that that's the case, but I look forward to having a listen later on. Now, we had the 1987 Defence White Paper established a strategic setting for this country for 35 years, and core to that was that we'd have 10 years of warning. But we know with the Defence Strategic Update recently, we're well within that 10-year window. So we need a much greater sense of urgency, and I don't see that coming from the department. I know the Defence Minister will be working on that. There's so much more work to be done to prepare for any potential future conflict in the coming years. We, at the moment, over the next sort of month or so, we're going to have 14,500 troops from about 17 different countries across the top end, training fighters in the air, navies from all around the world operating in our seas, and armies operating across the north. We're doing that for a reason, and a very important reason. But just for those listening, don't forget, though, that those opposite leased our port in Darwin to a company strongly connected with the Chinese Communist government for 99 years. Never let them forget that. Now, Deputy Speaker, honourable members will remember that their Trade Minister then took a job with that Chinese company. Everyone will remember that. Yeah. And Australians always ask me wherever I go. And in fact, an employee of that company just recently belled the cat by saying on radio in the last couple of weeks, and I couldn't believe my ears.
The member's time has expired.